Today's episode of DRL is brought to you by Hella Cocktail Company. My guests don't just come to DRL for me. They also come for the cocktails. Luckily, my friends at Hella Cocktail Company have my back. These guys make amazing mixes, from Bloody Mary to Margarita to Moscow Mule. They also make cocktail bitters, my secret ingredient, and now yours too. It's easy to feel like the best bartender in town when every bottle comes with a simple recipe on it. Hella Cocktail Company, bold flavor, real ingredients, hospitality. Mixing it up since 2011. Shop the collection on Amazon Prime or use code DRL online at hellacocktail.co for free shipping. Hello, my lovely listeners. Welcome back to another episode of DRL, where we're talking everything dating, relationships, and love. I'm your host, Tennesha Wood. So Panama was here in season 1.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, it's been a while. That was like 2015? No,
yeah,
2016.
Yeah.
So what's been happening since then? How's life? How's dating? How's all of it?
Life is great. Dating is cool. I think the last time I was here, you thought I was the wild one, which I was. Which I am.
Yeah, I do think you were the wild one. Was that not the truth?
That was the truth. Like growth occurs, but I think I'm still the wild one in the sense that I still love the energy. I still love to have a good time. I still love, all of those things. But I also understand that, I'm getting older, man, and you got to start thinking about like future. You got to start thinking about all these other things, and I can't party my whole life away, man. Like,
yeah. So you're done being the wild one, it sounds like.
I like to dip and dab and being I love the energy of it. Like, for me, I was just having this conversation the other day I think because of the age that we're in, like, we kind of grew up in an age where brunching is it. And like, it's just certain things culturally we've kind of adapted to kind of being it, right? Mm-hmm. And so I think we're going to be the parents that are always lit. Like we're going to be the parents that we didn't see our parents being, because just what it is. Like, you probably are going to still go brunching.
Nah, I'm already tired. I'm only 34.
Listen, man. You're going to go brunching. Somebody's going to hit you like, hey, let's go brunching. And then your kids are going to see it. And they're going to be like, yo, my mom is lit.
She brunches every Saturday, bottomless.
Yo, my mom is lit. She come in Sunday looking a hot mess, but she's lit. Right? So for me, I think it's just ingrained in us to... we are just at that like, we're
point. Still like, we have to live regardless of what circumstances are occurring, regardless of how old we get. We still got to live. We still got to have fun.
Yeah. So I think I'm in that space where I'm bridging the gap between both, like trying to find the balance of, okay, how do I adult properly, as well as how do I just live and all these other things. So I could not be the same person 2 years ago to get where I want to be going forward. Right. So.
Yeah. So what has changed for you?
The biggest thing that has changed in a sense was last time. Was it 3 years? How many years?
It was 2016. It was early 2016 that you were on.
It was early, and we was talking about the shooter.
Yep.
Yeah, we was talking about the shooter. So me and the shooter still rock. We're still banging it out, man. We trying to build this whole legacy thing happening.
The shooter is a girl who he referred to on the first season of the podcast that he was on. I think they were in the early stages of seeing each other at that point.
At that point, we was just kind of like chopping it up, and then we still bang, man. That's the folk, man. Like, that's the person that. I think that in order for me to get where I want to be, right, and just anybody, I think we have to get into a space. You have to be cuffed with someone that makes sense, right?
Right.
And I think certain things just make sense for you to kind of get where you want to go, right? And I think I'm big on like legacy and what will be my story after I leave, right? And so my biggest point is I need to be with someone who will be able to tell my story after I'm gone, right? Like, there was a quote from Troy, could have been fake, right? Not Troy, Achilles from the movie Troy. Mm-hmm. And he says, he's telling the soldiers, you are going to be forgotten because you don't know why you're fighting, right? Like, you have no reasoning why you're fighting. And then he also says, after I'm gone, they're going to be telling stories about me thousands and thousands and thousands of years, right? And so I believe that you live as long as the last person that remembers you. right? Like
wow.
I'm big on that, right? Like I think we're still talking about Martin Luther King, so in some way his name is still like ringing bells, right? And so for our grandparents and great grandparents, do you even like know who your great grandparents are, right? Like their friends have probably recently died off, right? And so the people who remembered them are slowly becoming minimal, right? And so I wanted to make sure, and I still do. I'm very mindful of like who I'm cuffed with, because I want to make sure that when something happens to me, because everybody got to go, will you be able to tell my story and do it with such a detail and with such a passion that it's like, all right, cool. I wish I knew this person. You know what I mean? So it's just always those mindfulness. So in that's why you got to be. I was very strategic and very mindful of. All right, this is.
She's gonna tell your story correctly.
Yeah, man. Who's gonna tell your story correctly, man? That's it. Like.
So is this a exclusive?
I guess so. We can say that, man. Here we go with the nonsense, man. She's Louise. This is gonna shake some things up, but that's cool. We good, man. I was strategic.
Okay, so it is exclusive.
Yes. So. Oh wait, exclusive is in what? What does that mean?
Like she's the only person that you are dating, and vice versa.
Yes, because yes.
What was the, I guess, hesitation there? What were you going to further explain?
So when I say, I was further going to explain basically because I'm really busy. Like I'm always like really, really busy, and that doesn't always apply. That doesn't always work with kind of women you date. It's like, you know, and it's not, I think it's both. I think it goes both ways, because sometimes when you are busy, no matter if it's, you know, women, man, whomever, there's a certain amount of attention that is needed and that is wanted, right? Like we want that attention in some way, shape, form, or fashion. At this point in my life, I am very busy and saturated with just the things that I'm doing that not everybody will understand the lack of time that I can't give them, right? And so then it's like, it would come across like, oh, I can't really build with you because of this, right? And so it takes certain people to kind of understand. It takes a certain type of person to understand those things, those components, and kind of can deal with, all right, cool, I don't need all this attention, right? And so when we was talking about the exclusive aspect of it, that's how that kind of came to be, because it's like, yo, I can understand all your craziness. I can understand how much you like standing on tables, how much of a people person you are, how like all these other different things, and also understand the dynamic of, okay, you want to go get this money and you want to go do all these other, like, I don't need that full attention. There's certain things I do need from you, but I don't need that whole thing, right? And I think it takes a person to be able to understand long term, and so she's been mindful of understanding like the long term kind of components of it.
So the short answer is yes, you are.
Yes, that's the short answer. That's why I said let me just say yes, and then just.
No, I mean, which is different than exclusivity, is just saying we have, you know, an understanding of who we both are as individuals and as a couple and what we need. You know, that and that can look, a relationship is what two people or more, whomever, decide what it is. There's no set, like, our relationship is, you know, we work from 9 to 5 and then we come home and we spend time together, and we like that's not the definition of relationship. It really is just, what do these people that want to be in this thing, what are they deciding that this thing is, and what does it look like for them? It's not, you know, there's no rule to it. And that's dope though, that you met somebody that fully gets you and isn't taking certain things personal based on who you are and what you need to do. Because there are some people that'll be like, oh, you got to work again, or oh, you have to do this again. Like, I can't build with you if you're doing those things. So it's great that you found somebody that gets it and gets you. Yeah.
So it's cool. It's cool.
What were you going to say?
It's just one of those things. Like I said, I'm still growing. So there's still some things that I have to kind of grow out of and grow into. What's the saying the church folk always say? You know, he ain't done with me yet. You know, I do have some tendencies that I probably do got to shake. But, you know, it's a growth pattern. So, you know, we're going to get there eventually. Okay. So, yeah. So
what have you learned about relationships in the last 2 years? Because it sounds like, you know, the situation's changed for you.
What I've learned is it's bigger than this moment, right? And so I think we get stuck in the fun, which is great, right? I think it's awesome. I think that has its space. But I think sometimes we don't look past that moment, right? We get 10 years of just kind of like partying. and going out, meeting this person, that person, this person, that person, then you lose time, right? And time is the most precious thing that you have. Like, and if you waste that time, I felt like I can be a part of multiple people's lifelines, but I didn't feel like there were people that I would bring a part of my lifeline. There's only but so many people that are actually for you, right? Like, yo, I don't really need you, right? Like, I love that concept of when someone can tell me they don't need me, that's awesome, because it's like, for me, you're doing this unconditionally and you don't need me. Right. So that's what I've kind of learned about it. And just kind of speaking to older folk, man, and really, really getting a bigger picture about wasting that time. It makes sense to be cuffed with someone whose mindset is on the same wavelength as yours, so then y'all can go get it together.
So it kind of sounds like she's a real partner. Not just like a girlfriend. You're thinking about this from a perspective of the rest of your life. And it sounds like the qualities that she brings to the table do line up with thinking about the rest of your life and not just, the moment that you happen to be in right now.
Yes.
Are you thinking marriage?
It's just me.
Well, generally, do you want to get married?
So generally, I do want to get married.
Okay.
I want to get married for the reasons of, one, I want my grandma to go to a wedding. Just being real. That's just me keeping it 100. I want my dad to go to a wedding of his kids. Like, my family, that's not their thing. So I don't want to say it's not their thing, but weddings I've never been to personally of my immediate family, like second cousins, yeah, but my immediate family, I've never been to a wedding with them, right? Of any of them. And I have 7 brothers and sisters.
Right.
So
none of them got married yet?
One of them got married at the courthouse.
Okay.
In Vegas. That doesn't count.
Honestly, though, it's the way to do it.
Yeah, I know.
Skip the stress.
Yeah, but you know what? I think I want the stress because I like going to weddings.
Right.
So you can't even say that I'm about to skip the stress, because you go to a wedding and be like, yo, this is nice.
Right.
Yo, eat, drink, and
but
all
when
that
it's my
stuff.
day, I don't want the stress on me.
That's true, because I understand it's super, super stressful. Like, I even watched that show, secretly, the 4 Wedding show.
Yeah.
Like, where they...
Hold on. That's how I know you got a girl.
What? The fact that I watched the show, you know what it is?
You don't watch that show alone. Do you watch that show alone?
And that's why I said,
do you watch that show alone?
You got to understand, one of my favorite movies is 27 Dresses. like legit. That's like my secret favorite movie.
Why do you like that movie so much? I would have never guessed that.
I know most people don't, man. Listen, me and my sister love, like, and I use this only because this is the genre that it's called, chick flicks, right? 27 Dresses is one of my favorite movies. It is next to The Devil Wears Prada. Don't judge me, all right?
No judgment. I mean, the type of movies I've seen.
Agreed. And what counteracts that, which kind of threw me and created this mentality of mine, is also Hitch. Like, I like Hitch as a movie. Like, I love that movie.
It's a good movie.
I love the visuals of a wedding, and I love all of those things. Like, and I just love kind of what it means and everything like that. But I also understand that. I also look at the business component of it, and that's the reality as well.
But do you want a wedding or do you want a marriage?
I want a wedding for my grandma.
Okay.
I want a marriage, but if I can get the wedding without the government knowing, I'm cool with that. Like, I'm keeping it super real. If I can get a wedding without the government knowing, I'm good. So I don't want it on paper. Okay.
So do you want a marriage, though? Where you're with one person for the rest of your life? Not that has to be marriage. That's for the people in it to decide. But
so I think, yeah.
A lot of hesitation there.
Because I think. Yes. Yes.
You do want a marriage.
I want a marriage. But I also think that yes.
Why did that take so long to get to?
Because I think it's kind of like marriage. I think that I do have this belief that marriage, the social construct of it, right, in regards to the Western concept of what marriage is, is one way, right? And then, but if you go span out and cross, it looks different in different environments, right? And so for me, do I want marriage? When you said like the one person,
well, let me ask you, how do you want marriage? Is probably the better question.
I think I want marriage as a partnership, and to be honest, I also think it's layered, right? I think it's what you want. It changes as you kind of develop, right? And so at this particular moment, I can say that I want marriage this way. Then 10 years from now, it may shift. 20 years from now, it may shift. I do love kind of like the love story concept of people who've been married for so like 50 years, or that's great. Like, that's awesome sauce. But I also don't think that, one, it's as easy as people make it seem.
Oh, it's definitely not.
It's not even I think. I know that I speak to a lot of just older folk who got it, who got the knowledge to know, right? And they're very transparent with me, right? And so because of their transparency, knowing that it's tough, man. It's a real.
So today, if you were to get married, what would your marriage look like? How would you design your marriage? Not, in the way that it's typically thought of, but if you were to be married, how would you want that to look different today?
You tell me what your view of marriage is.
My view of marriage? How I would want my marriage to be?
At this moment, yes.
I think a lot like my relationship currently is, which is we have a rule that anything can be talked about. Okay. Meaning, if Chris has an idea about something or he has a view on something, if he comes to me with it, I'm never going to say, well, that's silly or that's stupid or like, why would you think something like that? It's open for discussion. Like I'm not insulted if he's like, oh, that's an attractive woman. Like I understand that he's still a person and he's still a human being. Yeah. And, I'm not going to ever judge him for his thoughts and his ideas. And we can discuss anything. Now, are we always going to agree? Absolutely not. Are we always going to want the same things? Absolutely not.
Okay.
But I think the biggest thing for me is the ability to have a discussion. So whether we agree, whether we want the same things, we can say, you know what, let's talk, or this is how I'm feeling. Yeah. Because I think I think the main problem with marriages and the main thing that leads to divorce is people get married on a certain day. A lot of people I got married on 12/12/12 or whatever. So they get married on a certain day and they expect that the person that they married on that day, on 12/12/12, is going to remain the same person that is there on 12/12/16 or 18 or 19. And it's not. People change. Like their thoughts change, their ideas change, their minds change. And you have to be able to meet that person where they're at through those changes.
Yes.
And so what happens though is people get mad, like, oh, you're not the same person I married on 12/12/12.
Yes.
Well, if somebody is the same person 5 years later, you should have been left them because they're not experiencing any sort of growth. And if something's not growing, it's dying. So that's the big issue is we get mad and we can't handle when something changes from that day. We're like, you're just not that person. And we start thinking about all the ways that they've changed and we see it as a bad thing. We see it as a negative. It's the downside. And it's like, no, really what's happening is this person's growing. And you can either do two things with that information. You can say, how are you growing? What is the knowledge that you're gaining? And why are you learning this? And how are you feeling about it? And you can learn from that. Or you can say, you're changing and it's not the person that I wanted to be with. And then you're done. And that's the problem. And it's like, but if people had the freedom to say, hey, I know I didn't think like this on 12/12/12, but here's like what I've been thinking about. And they had an open forum and an open dialogue to actually discuss those things. I think marriage would be a lot more successful for more people.
Communication, I think, is key. I think as long as like an open dialogue is there and happens, I think that's in my mind, that's what I would want, right? I think we get so critical on, and this is why the private thing always kind of is big for me, just because we get so caught up into other people's opinions about what your marriage looks like, right? Like, I think vividly of like kind of the Will and Jada situation sometimes, because there was a moment where it's like, oh snap, they're swingers, they're doing boom boom.
Right.
You don't know their dynamic, you don't know what it is, right? And so it was a moment, y'all talked about it, but now everybody's talking about how awesome they are and how I want their relationship. Which I was just kicking their ass when you found out they were sleeping with the neighbors. So like it's I think those things, if you are not a celebrity and used to all of that input, you'll get broken. You know what I mean? You'll allow it to kind of get into your household, and you'll allow it to start, being a devil and start, putting stuff in your ear and so on and so forth. And I think there's good times to get advice from people, but then there's also times where you don't bring people in your space just because they'll add poison to it, because they wouldn't necessarily do it and they wouldn't necessarily agree it. But this is also a person who doesn't have the longevity and doesn't have the communication and doesn't have all of those other different facets. So for me, that's what it would look like. It would have to look like, yes, communication, but it would also have to look like understanding the development. Right. Like understanding that how things kind of process. My dad says this thing to me. He said, Panama, you at 20 is not going to be the same person at 25. You at 25 is not going to be the same at 30, so on and so forth. It went to your point about progression and change, right? Like my mind is going to change because I'm meeting different people. And I'm understanding what works for them. I'm getting exposed to different things. When you travel and go to a different country, you see that the things that they told us about this wasn't the same. Like, oh, wait, hold up. This ain't that bad. They not dropping all these bombs. They got good food, right? So like it's once you've experienced life, I think that's why you always say you want to experience life with someone together, right? Because if we do it together, then you can view what I view.
Exactly.
Right? And now it's like, all right, cool. You see what I'm seeing. Like that's working for them.
We're growing from the same light. If I had one wish for marriage and mankind, it would be that everybody realized that you could do it however you want it. And I think once people realize that, the need to fit in a box and the need to lie to their partners wouldn't be there anymore, because there's no set way. There's no set rule. It's just however you and the people or person in it decides they want to do it. Like that's the right way. The honest way is the right way. Yeah. That's what I think about marriage. The honest way is the right way. And what also ends up happening is people come into a lot of situations wanting to be this ideal version of themselves, right? And so that's the version that they show their partner. And then now that's the version that they're stuck living up to. Whereas if they would have just came in real, like, hey, here's where I think I'm at. Here's where I think I want to be. Here's the version of myself that I believe I am today. And I'll update you if that changes. Like, it could just be so much more pure and better. But like, people are bringing their representatives and what people, the ideas that they have about what it should be. And next thing you know, everybody in it is being fake and unhappy and not getting what they want because they were trying to fit into some box version of what they thought it should be. And now we both mad.
Now we're both angry. And I also think it's so interesting because I think people have to get out of that. So I think that, like, I'm my friends always get on me about this because I think that one shouldn't get married for love, right? I think that love can't be the only thing. Like, love,
definitely,
love
you're right.
Love can't be the only, because I think I love a lot of people, right? Like you can love multiple people, and I'm big on understanding that I can share energy with a lot of people in the sense of, there's so many people in this world. Is there going to just be that one person that I share that? That energy with, right? There may be this person I share energy with, like we might like hip hop music together. We may can sit and zone about the music. We may have a lot of good taste together. You know what I mean?
Right.
But it also builds onto what is the separate thing that outside of love that you can do, right? Those are those things that people don't really think about. And then even when they do think about it, they do forget that love is not one-sided. Like, love is not in this box as well where, okay, yes, I love you and you're my partner and you're this, but I also have energy to an extent with the neighbor, because she likes Japanese anime. I do like anime, don't you? But she likes anime. It doesn't mean that I'm giving her all my time. You don't like anime. Like it's that's not the thing that you like.
Like love isn't selfish. I think people almost view marriage as like an ownership of attention and love. Like I own your attention and I own your love, and that can't be given to anybody else without me feeling like something is being taken from me, or you know what I'm saying? Like I no longer have ownership, and it's like we're so much more complex than that as human beings. We're actually able to love more than one thing. We're actually able to do more than one activity.
Yes.
Like we're not simple beings, and I think people. They really do feel like this ownership. And I just think if people didn't think like that, like if people didn't think like the second you gave somebody else attention that it said something about me or what I was lacking. Like that's how we view love. When we're like, a lot of people view marriage like this. You're married to this one person, you own their love and you own their attention. And the moment that you're not owning that, meaning it's being given to somebody else, they immediately start to look at, well, what am I lacking?
What's wrong with me for them to go?
Right. And it's like, no, we're complex people.
Yes.
We need a lot of stimulation, like mentally, and it would be amazing if you are the one person that could provide every single thing, but
that
you're
would
not
also
God.
Be selfish. And it would be selfish. And that's a fact. Like that would be selfish on us to expect. I want all of these different things.
I want you to like Japanese anime and 27 dresses and the Migos.
Yeah,
and
I want you to do all these. I want you to be me. No,
I
don't want you to be me. Right. And
I already exist.
I already exist. Exactly. And so I think we put ourselves in those boxes. And as you alluded to it, it's a selfish thing, right? Where it's like mine. We've come to a space where marriage feels like, and this is probably why a lot of guys have, I don't want to say they haven't always popped the question, but why they take a longer time period. They wait till they get old and removed from like living, right? And it's like, you 40, 45 years old, popping the question because now your back hurt a little bit, so you can't.
Now you can't go out.
Now you can't go out. So now it's like, I can't go out anyway.
I might as well.
I might as well, right? Where it shouldn't be like that. I want to be able to be in the best part of my life and understand that, okay, cool, there's so many different things that I still want to do. Why do I have to stop that? Because I'm now in, like you said, the box. I'm now in the box of a man may feel like he's losing something because of the construct of, oh yeah, bruh. Because you hear your friends say, yeah, man, I got to go to the house, she calling me.
The ball and, it's the language even behind it. The ball and chain. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm going to the big house. Like, you're not dying or going to jail. It's just marriage.
She calling me. She acting crazy. Like, you hear that enough, it gets into your brain, and like it's one of those things that we've heard our old uncles would talk about. A cigarette on the side of their mouth. I'm just saying, I gotta go to you hear it so much that it begins to get saturated in your brain and makes you believe that this ain't. If this
that's
is
not the life I want.
Why not continue to be a bachelor? Why not continue to be? Because then I can be touch and go with all of these different things and still have my freedom, right? Because the biggest thing for anybody is their freedom. Like at the core of what it is, you want to be free. Right. Like when you think about finances, when you think about everything, you want to be free. You want to have that pure freedom to live how you want to live, right? And actually continue to do the things that you like to do that make you feel good. Yes, marriage may make me feel good, but also I might want to go to the strip club. That might make me feel good too, right? And so I need to be able to live in both parallels and say, okay, this is what marriage is to me, where I don't feel like a prisoner in it. And that's where people get bad because, like you said, when I feel like a prisoner, then I'm not communicating because every time I communicate, then we argue. Right. Now that argument makes me not want to tell you how I'm feeling because you're clearly not understanding how I'm feeling. Like I'm feeling like I'm in a box
and then each person isolates, and then next thing you know, like you're in this marriage that's not really a marriage because you're not even communicating with this person, and now it's just like this person you live with and a roommate, and now you're just like, how can I get out of this lease?
How can I get out? And let me tell you what's so I know someone who was in they were in an open marriage, right? And it was so interesting because they were in an open marriage clearly because they thought that the thing that was bothering them was the physical aspect of it, right? So went out in this open marriage, they could sleep with whoever they want. Maybe a couple months later, I think either the husband or the wife, one of them filed for divorce. They was like, And I love that because it wasn't just a physical thing. Clearly you didn't like that person. Like clearly it showed you that I really don't like my wife or I really don't like my husband. And so now I had to kind of go about it's that way. And a lot of times it may not be a physical component. It really may be, and we assume that it is, but it really may be,
that's the first place the mind goes.
The first place it goes is like, I'm not physically attracted to this person anymore, or this person doesn't do enough for me physically. Or it could, and that may be a space, but I think that you guys should communicate about that. But then also, it really may be, I just don't really like each other. Like, I really just don't like each other, and nobody is saying it. Nobody is saying, I don't think this is gonna work. And it's not a bad thing. It's just our energies don't connect. We're just not at that space.
But people feel like once you get into a marriage, the ultimate failure is this is ending. And so sometimes they stay in it because it's like, well, I don't want to fail.
Yeah.
Well, if you're feeling the way that you feel right now, you've already failed. So you might as well do what you can to try to be happy.
Yes.
You know, but like they feel like they have to prove something like, oh, well, I'm married now. And, we said we were going to do it forever. So let's just be unhappy in it. And it's like, life is too short for you to be unhappy for that long of a time period.
Yep.
I'm not saying don't work on things. Like, I think you should. If you make a commitment to be with somebody, you should do everything in your power to make that thing work. If you actually want that thing
to work.
But if you don't want that thing, why are you going to stress yourself, the other person, and be unhappy? I don't get it.
It doesn't. It adds like extra stress. And like I said, my biggest thing is wasting time, man. Like time is like a big thing. And so then I think, one thing I will say, because I don't have children, right? So I do understand that there's layers to it. I think that there are many different layers to it that, unfortunately, some people, if they have children, they kind of stick it out, right? And I get it, but then I don't, right? I'm like torn between the two, right? I'm torn between coming from like a split household myself, right? So I also understand internally, and this is with like, the internal therapy of my own mind says that I do have a broken concept of love, right? I do understand that the love that I was shown to me from my parents was not, and I don't want to say wrong or right, but it was something that kind of confused me, right? Because it was never articulated what type of love it was. It was just like, oh, this is what we doing, right? This is what daddy's doing. This is what mommy is doing. And sometimes we might see each other, but separate relationships, you know what I mean? And so seeing that your whole life, like, hold up, is this the right way to kind of like do it? Is it the right way to kind of have it? And so I understand that my concept of love comes from a space that I've never really even seen until I got older. What like a true, like, I don't even want to say a true marriage, but like what a marriage actually looks like.
That's my whole point, is that there is no, this is what a marriage looks like.
Then we need to be transparent about that. So then we know that it's layered, right? Like we know, because I think what's happening is we're allowing other people to tell us what that construct is, because they're showing us the good parts. Like they're showing us, oh no, this is great, this is awesome. But they not once again showing, no, it has layers. Like this is, and I think I don't even say embarrassed, but they don't want the judgment of like what they're really doing, right? To keep this together, to what their actually mold is. So then we think that the mold is what we've been the standard of what we've been told, because real marriages aren't being transparent enough to tell us, yo, listen,
we've been through some stuff.
And I think that's why we keep going back to, okay, the house, the dog, the 2 kids, the car. Like we believe that that's the right way to be when nobody's really told us.
But think about this. Let's say you were growing up and you didn't know what marriage was. You were just a child. You live with these 2 people that are your parents, right? And what you see from them is happiness, right? Like what you see are 2 people that are genuinely happy. Happy alone, happy together, happy just being, just happy. And then one day you found out, oh, these two people were never actually married to each other, or these two people don't even live together. He just comes like, it wouldn't actually matter,
because they're
right?
so happy.
Because it just is the thing that they're emulating and that you're seeing because they genuinely feel it is happiness. And so I guess what I want to show my kids one day is not like, well, your father and I are really happily married and, you know, we love each other and that's why we're married. It's not even about that. It's really, I want to show my kid what happiness looks like.
But so
even if your daddy lives there, I want him to be happy. If he could be a happier person, not being in this house with me, that's where he should be. If I am a happier person single, that's where I should be. And that's what I want you to emulate. But I don't like the idea of people keeping marriages together for children, because I'm like, you're just showing them what two unhappy people like together versus two happy people apart.
And the best thing I do love about my parents is that they both were very transparent, right? Like they were extremely transparent with themselves, right? They were transparent with me and how things kind of like functioned, right? Like, so just to be like super transparent, my mom dealt with drugs really, really bad, right? And so my dad was with her during that process, right? And so my dad always says he never loved anybody else like my mom, right? There will never be a love like he feels ever for my mom. But my mom loved the drug more than she loved my dad, right? So like, for me, that's deep.
Right.
Like, that's like some deep, he had to move on. He had to do what he had to do. But for him, it's like, damn, I love you. I love you so much, but I can't, like, you love something else. Like, yeah, you love me, but you love this thing more than you love us.
Right.
Right. And so I get that. And that goes back to like the happiness component that you were touching on, where it's like, I even think even after she got clean and everything I think that's why it went to the back and forth, right? Of, all right, cool, I'm going to be with you, but I'm still going to go, I'm not going to really be with you, right? And then for my dad, it was like he never wanted my mother to put him through that feeling again, right? I'm happy in this space. I was happy in the space before the other space, but I understood what unhappiness felt like, and I didn't like that feeling. And so whatever we have, this is happy for me, right? If that means that, you know, listen, we can't be together, but I'm going to come over and we're going to chop it up and we're going to do what grown folks do, then cool. And if that makes us happy, and I think my mom even, she kind of was regretful of the fact that she loved something else more than she loved my dad. Right. So that's why she accepted whatever it is, whatever arrangement that they had, because it was like, yo, I know I effed that up, right? Like, I know that my addiction messed that love, that perfect situation that, you know, we could have had, I messed that up. Right. So I think she kind of accepted all of those different things. But well, for me, I was able to, and for them being so transparent with me about that showed me that, yo, it is deeper than, it's just deeper than just, oh, I like you, you like me, hey, what's up, Les? You know, it's so
we're complex.
It's so complex, and the concept that we can just put it in a box and make it easy and write a book about it and all these, man, listen, Martin didn't make sense to me until I was an adult, right? Like, Martin and Gina's relationship didn't make sense until I got older, right? Like, certain things you look at, you're like, yo, this makes sense now, right? Right. And so hindsight, if you start thinking about your parents' relationship and you see like they was arguing about something, when you get in a relationship, you're like, oh, that's why this is, you know what I mean? Like, we're learning all of these different things as we kind of go along. The same thing with relationships. And I think, you know, having like you just as an amazing guide to an extent is like helping everybody take grasp on like that concept that it's different, it's layered, it's not easy, and we're not saying that it is. We're just letting you know that it isn't. Right. Like, we're literally telling you that it's harder than you may think that it is. Yep. Right. But the quicker you understand that, and the quicker you find someone that understands that as well, it's easier.
If you're going to go through life with somebody, make sure it's somebody that understands you. Yes. If nothing else, they don't have to agree with you, but they need to understand who you are at your core.
Yeah, at the core, this is what this person is. This is who this person is. So if I understand that that's who this person is, then everything else or be easy.
Because then we're not viewing it as anything about us. We're not taking their actions as a reflection on who we are once we understand who they are. We're not thinking that, oh, they're doing that in reaction to me. Like, no, that's who they are.
Right. And so I think acknowledging that with that person, and that's what goes with that transparency of, yo, listen, this is who I am. And you tell me this is who I am. Now we at a place where we understand the dirt. We understand.
It starts with the transparency and the honesty.
It starts with that, and people being honest with, yo, listen, I'm not crap. I got issues. I got stuff I need to work through. I got stuff that I need to try to get by. You can take this ride with me and understand that I'm gonna probably grow out of it, and I'm probably gonna get to a space. But even if I don't,
you have to love people for who they are today, not who they're gonna be.
Who they're gonna be,
not who they're gonna be. Don't think when you meet a person. Please don't. Whatever you do, think, well, somebody is going through a phase, or this is just for today. It doesn't mean it's not, but love the person for who they are today in that moment, or don't.
Or don't.
But don't try to change who a person is.
Yeah.
They are who they are, and you can either rock with it or you can't. But it takes so much energy for the person that is trying to change somebody, and then it takes away so much from the person trying to be changed, and now everybody's got to be fake. Yeah,
now everybody, there's now this fakeness to it. Like for me, one thing that I'm super transparent about is one I love to party, right? So I love that. Like that's just kind of like my thing in the sense of, and when I say party, I mean I love the energy of people around me, right? Like I feed on that. It kind of pushes me, it kind of moves me. Now, I also, another transparent thing is that because I'm so accepting of other people's energy, I also have multiple people that I speak to, and that I know just a lot of women who are awesome, that we just share energies, right? And so that may come across as, I don't want my man to talk to nobody else, he can't speak, all this other stuff.
Right.
Don't mind my voice. But that could be a space, but they don't really understand that this is who I am as a person, right? That's not going to change. It's not going to shift. I don't want to close myself off because you're insecure about something, right? Like I don't want your insecurity to stop the energy that I'm giving somebody else, because they may need me for something. Like they may need me for something big. Yo, I'm going through boom, boom. I just need to know, can I call you? Can I please chop it up with you? Can I speak to you? Right? And so that might be something that for me is regular. For me is, but I also understand, my dad always used to tell it, because he's the same way. Like he's really big on, he's just got a lot of friends. Like he's just a super people person.
Right.
And so he was like, yo, you're going to have to deal with, you know, a lot of women, right? Like you just know a lot of people, but women are going to focus on the women that you know, not necessarily the people that you know. They're not going to be like, no, he really just knows a lot of people.
Right.
It's going to be, how the hell he knows so many damn women?
Right.
Right. Like that's just going to be what it is. Right. And you have to acknowledge, oh, listen, this is who I am. I love people, and that person can be black, white, blue, purple, male, female, trans, no matter what it is. Right. I still love people. I still love the interaction concept of it, and I give my all to that person in regards to conversation, right? And so I really liked the story of people. I love understanding them. I love getting to know them. I love hearing everything about them, right? And so for some people, they're insecure about that. Why are you sharing that information with everybody else? Or why are you taking in? Why you want to be a part of their life? Because I do. Like, I just love it. I don't know why it's like that. I don't know why I'm trained to do that or whatever it is, but I guess it's my father. But, you know, it's just one of those things. And me putting that on the table, explaining that to whomever it is. Yo, listen, when we go in a space, I'm probably going to know a lot of people in this space, right? Don't get crazy. Don't feel away. Don't get mad because I'm.
Do you really do that talk beforehand? Hey, just so you know.
Yeah, listen, I've had to do that talk my whole life. Like, I've had to really have that conversation since high school, right? It has always been, I got biggest flirt in high school, right? And I've always had to, every girlfriend I've ever had, I had to always explain, this is what this is. This is how I am. This is who I'm going to be. If you don't dance, I dance, right? So know that I'm probably going to be on somebody's table somewhere. I'm probably going to be doing a two-step with somebody. That's just me.
Right.
Know that I love having long conversations. Know that I like talking. I want to know if in a 10-minute, if we're in a club or a lounge or where we at, I may not speak to you again. So I want to get to know as much as I can in this 10-minute window, right? Because you're giving me perspective. So I have to kind of give those presets beforehand because I know that that may be a thing for you. Like if that is, either one, don't come with me.
Stay in the house.
Because that's that compromise, right? I think it's the compromise of understanding that that's another thing that like is deep about marriage and deep about just relationship. It's the compromise of, okay, listen, I want to be with you, but I also understand that I ain't really with that either. So the compromise is I'm gonna sit my ass here.
I'm gonna let you be you, and I'm gonna be me.
Exactly. And I'm not gonna cross hairs with that. I'm not gonna none of those different things, right? And so understanding those compromises, I think, will also help people.
Yep.
Because I think it also realizes I'm not, like you said, I'm not going to change anybody.
And I don't have to like everything about you.
Everything about you. I don't like that you in everybody's face. I don't like that you talking That's fine. And it's okay if you don't like that.
Right.
Because if I change it, I'm not being my best self.
Yep.
I'm not going to really be me. I'm going to then get angry and internally get mad because you're not letting me rock out. Then I'm going to have resentment against me.
And animosity.
And
we're building up and we ain't even talking again.
And we're not even talking. We go back to that point of the construct where it's like, yo, listen, acknowledge this is who I am. And people got to realize when you see guy, girl, whomever, because guys got super insecurities too, OD. But they don't, they don't always acknowledge it. If you see a person how they are, that's how they are, right? Acknowledge it, accept it. If you gave them your number, if you did, I hope you didn't think that, oh, no, he's going to change or she's going to, no. That's who they are. That's the person, that's who it is, right? And so they have to realize that part. And I think people always go into it thinking that this person is the queen or this is the king. Yo, this person might be the jester. He or she might get to being queen or king, but right now, that's just what it is. So I do believe that our construct and our understanding of transparency has to be more honest.
Be yourself, and some people will like it and some people won't, and the ones that like it will stick around and the ones that don't will move on, and that's okay as long as you are being who you are.
And you don't always even have to be in a relationship with that person. That may be just a great friend. Like,
right.
Yo, I just couldn't take that you was talking to all these women, but I love you as a person.
Right.
Like, that's super real. Like, there's people that I know that we are still extra cool because we share energy, but they just like, Panama, I just couldn't deal. You just, that ain't for me.
And the reason that a friendship was able to occur in those situations is because you were being yourself, they were being themselves, and you could both be honest about how that worked for you and how it didn't. And so the relationship then is not totally lost. Like you still are sharing energy with a person that you really connect with, but in a different way than in a romantic way, which is 100% fine. Yes. Like you don't have to lose somebody because like this person isn't for me. Great. There is something about that person that you still love and that they can offer you and you can offer them. Yeah. But that's where the honesty comes in, because if you're honest, we realize you don't have to lose that person. They could just be at a different place in your life.
Yeah, man. Like I used to work in a retirement community. You could actually see what real relationship looks like outside of a physical component. How you build relationship once the physical component is out the window now lets you know that that's pure energy. That's pure just us just rocking. That's just us vibing. That's just kind of what it is. So those friendships that wouldn't take you when the physical component was there or when that you and everybody face thing was there, they can kind of carry over because it's like, yo, we still cool. You still understand how I am. And now that thing is out of the way, now we really cool, right? And so because you understand me as a person, we still can be honest about other situations that's like real life situations, right? Like we can still have a conversation about parents and growing up and those things that we kind of like mesh well with. And so I think that is why I always try to keep people as friends. And I always say I never had an ex that I didn't like. That's not my friend. Right. Because we cool. Like we just like, they love me for who I am. And it was just something that I wasn't at the time. And so it's like, but I still want your energy. I still miss our conversations. I still miss those things. And I think people got to realize, stop letting one thing be like the end all of be all of and then forget about the energy that you did like about the person, right? Like, do not let the bad outweigh the good, because the good is what kept you through the day-to-day. The good is what kept you when you was crying. The good is what kept you when you was going through those situations, right? Don't let the bad, which is maybe an isolated incident or maybe just a thing that person may potentially grow out of, even if they don't let the bad be that thing that kind of deters you from a valid relationship when you actually need it, right? I think the man upstairs places people in your lives for a reason, right? And I think we F it up by turning them off and like, I'm not talking to him, but then blame it like, no, you just got removed out of my life. No, you.
Well, what turns it off is when we try to make people into somebody that they're not, instead of being honest about what we really need and who they really are.
Yeah. And accepting that what it is, it's like, this is who I am. This is who you are.
And accepting a person for who they are doesn't mean you have to accept a relationship.
Yeah.
It means you understand who you are in relation to them and what you need versus who they are. And it's okay to say that person doesn't have what I need. But I'm not going to throw them away because of that.
I like to use it as like a debate, right? Like we're debating two different opinions, right? You like Kobe, I like LeBron, right? That doesn't mean that because you like Kobe and I like LeBron, we can't watch a game together.
Right.
We can watch a game together. We just don't like the same thing, right? It's okay. Like, you're a Republican, I'm a Democrat. Or however you choose.
Well, we really can't be friends. No, I'm kidding.
But that's real.
Right. Can I just say, I mean, it's been about 2 years, and I have to say I've seen a lot of growth in that time. From our last interview to this interview, I'm seeing a lot of life understanding and a lot of growth and a lot of understanding about who you are and what you need. So
yeah, man.
Big ups to the growth. I see it.
Snap.
So what's next for you? You recently started a new business.
Yeah, man. So I started a CBD company. I call it it's legal cannabis. So we focus on the whole flower, the whole plant. Just to give like a little background of it, like everybody always focuses on the THC side of it, but the health side of the cannabinoid is CBD, which is all of the good stuff, right? It's all the body feels and things like that. So yeah, we started it. We have a few different farms, one in North Carolina, one in Oregon, and one in Florida. So yeah, I want to help people with anxiety, stress, chronic pain, cancer, all that other things that we deal with, especially if you live in a city. And the only reason I say the city is because I know the city in itself is a relationship, right? And that's like a stressor.
Yep.
Unlike
every other day I'm like, I'm just gonna leave New York today.
Yeah, man, that's real.
Today
right?
is the day. I'm done with New York.
Every day, man, you take that train, you feeling that pressure, that anxiety, that stress. Like if you're not from here and you come here, you can get swamped in it.
You can be bogged down
just the hustle and bustle, the movement, just what it is. And so we found, this is a product that we feel can help with those things, right? Like all of those city stresses, and it's super kind of relaxing and super, super chill. And yeah, we're all about like the health component. I like to say the earth is where we came and where we were formed. The earth is where we're going to kind of go back. So it's going to be the earth that helps us maintain till we get there. So that's like my big mantra for it. But
what's the site again?
Oh, www.benhigh.com. So I was like, y'all, been high, now what? Right? So like it goes into that. It has like a little play on words. So BENHIGH.com.
Nice. Well, congratulations on your new venture.
All right, man, I appreciate that, man. Listen, we trying to build a legacy, man. We trying to start building some wealth, man, so they can start telling our stories, man. Jeff Bezos.
Your legacy.
That legacy, man. Listen, like this is legacy right here. Like this is a part of the legacy. That's why I appreciate you, man. And
this will live forever.
Sidebar. This is pretty awesome. The fact that you're still doing this one, too, that you're like still like at it and you're still chipping away, and you've gone from a place of, okay, I'm just going to do this, to now this is what this is, right? Like, give yourself a round of applause.
I don't know if you can add, Panama.
Like, I don't know if you can add like little claps or whatever, but add little claps.
I'm gonna add a little clap in there.
Just add that little clap, because like I understand like the hustle and bustle of like just starting something and keeping at it, right? You've been very consistent in doing those things, which paves the way for like just people, not even just people of color, but just people in general, right? Like you've kind of like paved the way for like all these different entities to say, I can say, if you want to start a podcast, I know somebody,
Right.
she's nice. Like she's really, and it really does open the door for a lot of different things. But yeah, so I appreciate you, man.
Thank you,
all the way
Panama.
through,
That means a
man.
lot. That
Yeah,
means
for
a
real,
lot.
man. Listen, man, I'm proud of you, man. Like I don't know if everybody tell you that, but I'm super proud of you. Like I be peeping. I'm the ghost follower. So like I be like, oh, she got another person up there. Oh, that's what's up. Like, oh, snap. Get it, girl.
Aw, I'm proud of you too. A lot of growth,
listen,
and I
man.
see a lot. I see a lot is about to happen for you. Where can folks reach you to connect?
Yeah, so you can check me out on Instagram. C, like the letter C, Ben Hyde. Yeah, at C Ben High. So CBEENHIGH. We ship like all over the world now. So
Awesome.
now
I love
federally
that.
legal and all of that. Like I'm not big enough where you can't give me a call or like email me and I won't email you back. No, it's gonna be me that's probably emailing you. I'm super direct because I want to help people and heal them and all that other nice jazz. But yeah, you can follow me there, and Facebook is Ben High, so it's just /Facebook /Ben High.
Well, thank you for bringing all your knowledge today.
I appreciate you, man.
And thank you for sharing.
Man, thank you for having an awesome topic, for having great drinks, and we here, man. We here, man.
And thank you guys so much for tuning in today. Please reach out at Tennesha Wood on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, and let me know what you think of today's show. And until next time, wish me love. Hello again, my lovely listeners. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode of DRL. If you like the show, be sure to go on iTunes and leave a rating and also write a review. And don't forget to share with your friends and tell them all about DRL. Thank you so much for supporting.